Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about my Fate Accelerated DC Marvel tabletop role-playing game. And when last we left off, basically Wonder Woman had returned to Mount Olympus, and the Justice League had just decided to aid Batman, to use Batman as a center point, and that they were going to go to California and they were going to repulse, they're pushed back and try to stop Tanyar, who was the leader of the 30,000 Amazons that are going into California to claim California specifically for women, right? And that any and all men who are found in California would be killed on sight, all right? So this is where we stopped off. So the decisions are made, everybody knows where they stand, and at this point, everybody in the Justice League is getting ready to aid Batman in about 10 hours to stop Tanyar and her forces, and they're specifically going to do it with sword and shield, right? So right now, the big task is now they're all still in the Watchtower, and they're planning on how they're going to get thousands and thousands of sword and shield fighters and sword and shields, right? So that planning is starting, but also shuttles are starting to be prepared and sent down from the Watchtower, okay? And so at that point, one of the player characters, who was Cardiac, he is a biokineticist. He can heal and harm biokinetic material. Notice that Superwoman is not joining Batman's team. Also, Martian Manhunter actually calls over a few of the people who had stood, not in Batman's quarter, including Jumper. So Jumper is his stance was that he was going to aid the U.S. military and use modern weapons against the Amazons. So Martian Manhunter goes over and he says, "Hey, listen, Jumper, I know you're opposed to Batman's plan. Rather than, kind of shoehorning you into Batman's plan and you getting on the bus, basically what we want to do is there's always a ton of missions for the Justice League. I have some important missions. I would like to send you on another mission. That way you could do something constructive and you don't have to spend time doing something you really don't want to do." Jumper's like, "That's great. I'm totally down." So Martian Manhunter goes, "Okay, this is your shuttle. You have Nightwing, and you have a number of other, and also he has Nightwing, and he has a number of other, minor Justice League players who go with him, okay? So at this point, all of the player characters, which is Harley Quinn, Amazo, Cardiac, Colin Crowley, the tech billionaire, with a suit of armor that actually helps him to shrink, kind of a mix between Iron Man and Ant-Man. And Jericho, they all go with Batman, okay? And they all get in a shuttle, start heading down to California to stop that. Jumper gets in another shuttle, and they are dispatched. And Jumper realizes that they need to get on the move. He calls Martian Manhunter back up. He says, "Okay, we're on the move. Give me the details on the mission." Martian Manhunter says, "One, thank you very much for taking this mission. You are headed to Gotham. And the reason you're headed to Gotham is Poison Ivy is dead, okay? And she is at the base of a bridge in Gotham. I need you to retrieve her body, and then I need you to bury her, right? And I will tell you the location of where she is to be buried after you've retrieved her body, right?" So Jumper's like, "Yes, I have the details. We're good to go. Thank you. I will make sure this is done," right? So they're continuing on. Nightwing immediately says to Jumper, they cut the line to Martian Manhunter. Nightwing says, "Oh my goodness, this is huge. We have to tell Batman right now that Poison Ivy is dead," right? And at that point, Jumper says, why do we need to do that? And Nightwing says, "It's critical. Like, I know Batman. I know that he will care deeply about this. he needs to know as soon as possible. And I also think, so it is important, right? So Jumper, he knows that Nightwing has a very serious history with Batman. And so he says, yeah, okay, I still kind of think this is strange, but yes, we will call him. So at that point, Jumper and Nightwing get on the line, and they call to Batman immediately. And they call Batman, and Jumper gets on the line with Nightwing, and Jumper says, Batman, Poison Ivy is dead. She's at the base of this, she's at the base of this bridge in Gotham, and I am going there to retrieve her body and then to bury her. Right? Oh yeah, there was one more line. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. So before he made the call, he said, he said to Nightwing, "Are you sure? We should tell Batman this." And he said, the reason why I think this is strange is Martian Manhunter knows what he's doing. If Martian Manhunter wanted Batman to know, wouldn't he tell Batman? And at that point, Nightwing says, you know what? Martian Manhunter is very wise, but he's not always right. And this is a circumstance where it is wise not to tell Batman, but it is not right not to tell Batman. So that is why Jumper and Nightwing get on the line and call Batman and tell him, right? Batman hears this news, and he says, the first thing he says is, Jumper, since I met you, I thought you were going to be, that someday you would be ready to be a Justice League major player, right? But at this point, the more I deal with you, the more I realize you are often at the crux of major happenings. I cannot thank you enough for telling me about this. Now, we are rerouting my shuttle to join you, and we will aid you in getting Poison Ivy's body, right? Now, on the shuttle with Batman and every other player character goes, whoa, slow your roll, Batman. What are you doing? We can't just forsake all the Justice League members who are going to stop Tanyar. There are 30,000 Amazon who are going to be, who are going to invade California in the morning. There are people's lives are at stake, right? Also, everybody is going to follow your plan. You have to be there to lead your plan. So Batman says, all of that is, you're absolutely right. Everything you said is 100% true. But this is Poison Ivy, right? Poison Ivy needs to be buried properly. Poison Ivy, is special to me. And all of what you just said takes a back seat to this. Now, I am Batman. I am part of the Trinity, right? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right? I'm a primary leader within the Justice League, and this shuttle is going to Gotham, and we are going to retrieve Poison Ivy's body. This is far more important than what's happening in California. And he says, also, there are other Justice Leaguers there who can handle this, right? Now, one, he is kind of wrong there in that none of the other Justice Leagues really ever thought that fighting with Sword and Shield against Amazons was a good idea or had any idea on how to do that. And this is said by the player characters. They're like, there's nobody there who can execute your plan, right? So at this point, all the player characters are really in a bind. They really feel bad because they're like, we really think that this Tanyar thing needs to be stopped. This Poison Ivy thing is a minor issue, right? You need a small team, which is already on the way, right? And well, Batman says, well, that's great. I've heard all of you, but the reality is this is the way it's going to be, right? And so, and at that point, Jericho takes over Cyborg's body, right? And tries again to say, Batman, this is too much, man. One, there are no lives to be saved where you're going. There are thousands of lives to be saved in California. You need to be the Batman we know you are. Critical, thoughtful, making your decisions based on rationality rather than emotion, right? And at that point, Batman slams his fist into one of the girders on the shuttle, and he said, That's it. We're done talking about this, right? He says, I have enough authority to have this one shuttle go do this task. All the player characters are like, no, you can't do this. We are going to commit the plan that you had said. All right. At this point, all of them begin ready to fight Batman to make sure that the shuttle is going to, they all just tense and get ready for combat and tell him, no, this is not going to happen, right? And at that point, Batman kind of, reassesses and says, okay, as much as, he says, the biggest issue here is I have to be in Gotham to bury Poison Ivy because I'm the only one who knows where she should be buried, right? And he says, now, and you're right, Cyborg, who's actually Jericho talking through Cyborg, Dom's character. He says, I am being emotional here. I will go do this myself, right? And you guys continue on. And then he also says, Jumper, you and your team can disengage. It's all or nothing on this. I was going to take both shuttles. I will not forget that when I needed your help, you guys turned your back on me. And Jumper, I'm not going to forget that you told me and you were more than willing to help. But right now, I will take care of this whole thing. I want both of these shuttles to head toward California, and I want you to and go ahead and execute the plan, right? And so at that point, they all Harley Quinn steps forward and says, "You need to know why Harley is there," right? And Batman's like, "Great, tell me," right? So Harley Quinn explains that the reason Poison Ivy is there is that the portals that were being investigated, the portals that led to another universe where there is a man who carries a shield with a red, white, and blue shield with a white star in the center. The world where there is a man who wears a red and blue uniform that has a spider on the chest, right? The world where there is a gigantic, 15-foot tall, 7 feet wide, raging monster, green raging monster. That universe, that the portals that enter there, right? That Poison Ivy was dealing specifically with someone on the other side, right? And that she had agreed to trade artifacts, right? So the artifacts she was bringing in a DNA gun, which had been invented and designed by Enigma and funded by the Penguin. And so what it was it's a weapon that uses special bullets. It's a firearm. And you essentially load it with someone's DNA, and within 2 miles, it will lead the bullet directly to whoever has that DNA, right? So she was using that gun to trade for artifacts on the other side. And specifically what she was using to trade it for was the Fear Itself Marvel Warhammer, which was created to fight the Warhammers that had been made by Odin's brother, right? Now, in Fear Itself, it's a graphic novel within the Marvel Universe. There is a specific... so Fear Itself was a specific storyline, and it was very, very good. And so Odin's brother made all these powerful Warhammers, and then he actually mind-controlled superheroes, including the Hulk, to use these, right? Well, in order to combat this, Iron Man created a Warhammer which was technology and magic. It was actually created several Warhammers, which were the fusion of Asgardian magic and Iron Man's technology. At the end of Fear Itself, these weapons were supposed to be melted down, right? But they weren't, right? In my world, they weren't, right? And actually, it showed it in the graphic novel that they were melted down, right? But I always thought, I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised to see those again in the future, because these are crazy powerful weapons. So Poison Ivy was going to receive at least one of these Warhammers and was going to trade it for the DNA gun, right? Well, she had made this deal, and Harley Quinn is aware of all of this, right? And the reason why Harley Quinn is aware of this is Poison Ivy specifically said, I got this major deal going down. The dude I'm dealing with on the Marvel side, Dr. Doom, is, he is, seems like a very dangerous individual. I think I can get this deal done, but I need your help. So Poison Ivy specifically asked Harley Quinn to help her, right, do this deal with Dr. Doom. Well, that deal went south, and basically Dr. Doom kept all of his artifacts, killed Poison Ivy, and took her artifacts. So that is why Poison Ivy's body is at the bridge of that base. Is at the base of that bridge, right? So Batman's like, oh my goodness. He's like, thank you so much for telling me this. I need to get there right away. Okay. Now, at this point, remember what I said? Only Batman knows where to bury her body, right? One of the things is, there's always this issue of what does a player know and what does a character know? Jumper does not know where Poison Ivy's body needs to be buried. But Bill, the player who plays Jumper, absolutely did. And so when I said that line, he said, oh yeah, the Gotham Botanical Gardens. And now it was just like this huge moment of joy in the game because that's exactly where she should be buried, right? And I gave him like 3 XP, which is a lot in Fate, right? It's a lot. And it was really a pretty major moment. So what I did was I essentially allowed him to earn a significant milestone, right? So it was good. It was really good, and it's always nice when you're writing a story and the players are clicking and they understand exactly where you're heading. So this is where we ended this portion of the game where essentially Batman is now heading to get Poison Ivy's body. All the other players are going to execute Batman's plan of fighting the Amazons with sword and shield without Batman to lead them. And so that's where we end. Take care.